Hey Nat, happy 50th anniversary in film exhibition. 50 years. That's a lot. But I suspect that for you it feels just like yesterday when you started down this road. You know, for so many, movie-going meant going down to the neighborhood theater and seeing the latest Hollywood fare. And there's nothing wrong with that. Lord knows that you and I have enjoyed quite a bit of those films and still do. But for some, those who've had the good fortune of being guided on their cinematic journey, it means the world of discovery to societies, countries, and communities that we would otherwise not be exposed to. That's the work of a film programmer. That's the work you've done. You know, I've always said film has the power to change communities and change lives, and I know that you believe that too. Across these 50 years, you've done so much. You've not only brought the world of cinema to Miami and let local folks discover great works by filmmakers they would otherwise have not been exposed to or had the opportunity to see. But at the same time, through your years at the Miami Film Festival, you've brought the world to Miami and let these filmmakers discover our community of passionate, eager, enthusiastic audiences waiting to see what unfurled on the big screen. Those impressions, those impacts that you made won't soon be forgotten. And I suspect they will continue because I'm fully prepared to be making a 60th anniversary version of this video and a 70th anniversary version of this video. As a filmmaker myself and a film programmer and curator at O Cinema, I know what an immense privilege and pleasure it is to see audiences discover films and filmmakers that they didn't know otherwise and become ardent fans of. And I know the pain of seeing an audience member reject the film that we are so passionate about. But I know that all of that combines in one thrilling journey of sharing our passion for cinema with others. For 50 plus years, you've been doing just that, sharing your passion with our community and with the world at large. And we're the better for it and all the grateful for it. Happy 50th anniversary y mucho, mucho más to come. Un abrazo.
50 years. A blink. I remember like it was yesterday that I drove all the way from Miami Beach to the University of Miami simply to watch a film. In the days before cable, the internet, video cassettes, yes, those days, so many years ago, the only way to watch a film was to go to a theater. The only way to be introduced to films you never saw before was for the theater to be in the hands of someone who was well-schooled in cinema and willing to share and teach. I found myself that night in the hands of just the right person, even if I was too young and too shy to stick around and introduce myself. The films showing that night were the films of Sam Fuller. One of them was Shock Corridor, and I remember it until today. And the person into whose hands I found myself is the man we're celebrating, Nat Chediak. Just a student then, too, Nat took it upon himself to teach all who would listen, all of Miami, the love of film. And later he introduced the entire country to filmmakers who have become part of the lexicon of film history. I went away for a number of years, but each time I came home to Miami, I made a mad dash to one of Nat's theaters to see his latest offering. The newest Fellini, or John Sayles, or Eric Romer, or maybe even Francois Truffaut. He then discovered and let us discover with him a whole new world of Latin American and Spanish filmmakers. Bruno Barreto, Hector Babenco, Fernando Trueba, Pedro Almodóvar, Carlos Saura, Alfonso Cuarón, Guillermo del Toro, Alejandro Inarritu, Walter Salas. It was always an event to go to one of Nat's theaters. On a Saturday night, there would be a line of people waiting to see the expressions of those leaving from the show that just ended. Was it good? Worth the wait? You'd run into friends, and for days on end there would be talk about the film showing at Nat's Cinematheque. Nat brought that same excitement to his next project, the Miami Film Festival. Each film was shown at Gusman Theater downtown. Over 1,000 filmgoers would be there on opening night, and not many fewer for each film shown during the week of the festival. It was there that Nat and I reconnected. I had just opened Books and Books, and the festival was in its second year. We teamed up on bringing writers to the festival to talk about film. Elaine Robbe-Grillet, Susan Sontag, Guillermo Cabrera Infante, and of course, Sam Fuller. Nat introduced me to some of my heroes in film. I was to be in charge of showing John Sayles around. He brought me into his orbit with filmmakers like Nestor Almendros. And that festival, those early festivals, what a dream. All of Miami was enthralled. Everyone coming into the bookstore would talk about what they saw, what was new, what was magical. The power of the art of film was on full display at the Miami Film Festival. My friendship with Nat deepened, and we kept in touch through all the iterations of Books and Books and his own career, which took a detour into another love of his, music. He introduced me to his talented friends and was always interested in ways we could collaborate. So, needless to say, I was over the moon when Stephen Krams told me that Nat would become the artistic director of the new Gables Cinema, across the street from Books and Books. My education in film had taken its own turn, and I was to begin producing films myself. And what a thrill to be booked into a theater where Nat was intimately involved, the pupil being presented by the teacher. Our collaborations continued, and I'm reminded of one really memorable evening not too long ago. After a presentation at the cinema by the film critic David Thompson, Nat, David, and I went to dinner down the street. I sat back and was in awe of the deep dive into film history, with Nat and David going back and forth at a speed that was hard to imagine. They barely came up for air, and I just sat back and listened. I still refer to that evening as my dinner with Nat and David. I've been around a lot of creative people in my life, but I don't think I've ever met someone who is so immersed, so obsessed, one might even say, in what they do. For the love of film, that's why Nat does what he does. Teaching, discovering, defining, and pushing envelopes. And we are all richer for it. May there be another 50 years at least, my friend. Thank you for allowing me to say these words at this very, very important anniversary.
Hi, my name is René Rodríguez. I used to be the movie critic for the Miami Herald. Now I'm the real estate writer for the Herald. And I wanted to show you guys something I found the other day. So this is from 1985, and it's the first program, the first Miami Film Festival that I ever went to. I saw this movie at the Cinematheque called Mixed Flood. It was a midnight showing. It was a very weird movie about drug dealing gangs in Alphabet City in New York, and it was at midnight, and it was kind of like it had kind of like a little bit of a danger feel to it if you were watching a movie you weren't supposed to. And then I saw another movie that year called The Lift, which was a movie about an elevator that kills people. That's it. It was an elevator that killed people. And both of these movies were part of the Miami Film Festival, which that was my first shot of film festival madness, and it's the year that I became addicted to it. At that film festival, I got to meet Nat Chediak for the first time. I must have been like 15. He was playing the host the way he always does. He was very cordial. He was very nice. And over the years, I got to know him more and more, especially after I became the movie critic at the Herald. So I used to look like this, and this was in one of the programs of the festival. Nat still looks the exact same way he looked 30 years ago, however long that was. I've known him for more than half my life. I consider him a friend. I consider him one of the greatest teachers I've ever had on film, not just in the movies that he shows. His mind works a lot like a critic's mind, in that the movies that he picks, whether it's at the film festival or the cinema, it's to kind of show the public and share his passion. He has challenged me. I remember telling me, I'm showing a trilogy of Iranian films at the film festival, or I'm showing a 2.5-hour movie about a Serbian underground society. He has always pushed my limits in terms of being a critic. He would always give it to me when I panned one of the movies that he really, really loved. I never understood his love for Eliseo Subiela, the filmmaker. I never will, even though he would always ram that guy down our throats every year. But I consider him such a deep friend that he's the only one who's allowed to call me. He has a term of endearment for me, which is a word in Spanish. 7 letters, starts with the letter S. And I can't say it in this video, but it rhymes with Ringo. And that's how Nat greets me for some reason, and I wouldn't have it any other way. Congratulations, Nat. Love you, and keep up the good work.